Good afternoon slash evening to everyone. Welcome all to our Human Rights Commission meeting. Today is August 2nd, 2022. We're going to start with roll call, so we know who's here, who's present. I will start with myself, Esther Stoll, District 2, here.
Jason Wessel, representing District 1.
Yes.
Okay. Everett Bacon, at large.
Okay.
Olivia Jaramillo, District 3.
And I think Shauna is online.
Okay, and Shauna Dumbia, District 7.
Perfect. You have 4.
So we have quorum, and I would like to take the moment to excuse Commissioner Garcia, District 4, and Commissioner Vernuri at large. We will get started. I also would like to acknowledge our city staff who are here with us. We have Moana, Maria, Ashley, as well as Roxana. Is Annie also here?
Fatima.
Fatima's on.
Okay, and Fatima. If I've missed anyone, please feel free to go ahead and point that out at this time.
Myself, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
and did she say Michelle?
I think Ashley.
Oh,
Ashley.
Michelle.
Yes, Michelle.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you all for being here. Moana, I'm just going to pass the mic over to you first and see if there's anything else that I've left out that we need to discuss as we start.
We just like to note and welcome our newest commissioner. If you can see through just wave.
Oh, yeah.
Commissioner Olivia Jaramillo, we're excited. She was just confirmed last month, so at the beginning of July, and we're excited because we're one person closer to having a full commission. So we're so grateful that you're joining us and providing your expertise and your perspective on this commission that serves the whole of Salt Lake City. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm super excited to get to know you all and help our great city.
Absolutely.
And-
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
I think you have to read the statement up front about the hybrid meeting.
Yes,
Oh,
I will do that. Says the Human Rights Commission is meeting electronically pursuant to the Salt Lake City Emergency Proclamation and determination of the chair. Minutes are provided in conjunction with the video and audio file. Is that good enough?
are you on? Let me send you again.
I think I am on the draft. Give me a moment here.
Click on the very first one, the agenda. I think you're reading the minutes from last month.
Would
Okay,
you like me to read it quickly?
yes, go ahead and do that while I fumble through to find.
All right. Okay, this meeting is a discussion among commissioners and select presenters. The public is welcome. Items scheduled may be moved or discussed during a different portion of the meeting based on circumstances or availability of speakers. This meeting will be hybrid. The commission meeting will have a physical location in the city and county building in Canyon Room 335, and members of the public may provide public comment in person. Commissioners and presenters may join or participate either in person or through electronic means. That's it.
Thank you very much. And just another welcome, official welcome to Commissioner Jaramillo. And we are glad that you're here. You helped us make a quorum today, especially. So thank you for that. Give me a moment here. Let me just open up the file that Moana just sent to me. Here we go. Okay. We are going to approve our minutes for May and June. Could someone present that, and then we could get a second.
Motion that we adopt the May and June minutes as presented here. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. That passes. We'll move over to our public comments. Do we have any public, anyone in the public here with us today?
Yes, we have one member of the public present.
Okay. Would they like to speak up at this time?
Oh, they are just here. They don't have a comment.
Well, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you coming out.
What's your name? Thank you for attending, Will.
Yeah. Okay, we are gonna move on to our item number 4, which is the CEDAW update. Moana, can I pass that over to you to give us a quick update on that?
All right, so everybody knows, since I already sent it through the email, I just got confirmation that the CEDAW or gender equity ordinance has now been added into online. So if you want to review it, it will already be on the website that has all the ordinances. I'll send out a link so you can see that. I just wanted to just make note and thank everyone who has been working tirelessly on this ordinance for the last 10 years. We got together just quickly after work with Rebecca Chavez Hauck, who helped run those initial studies with the women in the city, and she was interesting. She was giving us the history and all of the years that she had put into it since 2012. So we were really excited that it passed. It was interesting though, it was kind of anticlimactic. They just happened that I was on the west side. The one time they're doing city council on the west side, and then they all were like, yay, and then they passed it, but it took about 12 years to pass. So we're excited. We're taking a little breather. Coletta gets back from her vacation next week, and then we will update you in terms of the next steps. A lot of that has to do with the budgetary request. And for Olivia, I'll send you all of the information too for CEDAW, the budgetary request for the gender equity analysis for the city. And it's great that whoever wants to join in on the subcommittee, this is kind of, it took that long to put it into an ordinance, but now we're requiring all of the city's departments that they'll have to look at their programs, policies, and how they're doing in terms of like a report card of what they're doing within the city, addressing gender inequity. So I'll give you updates with that. I think one of the next steps too is talking with the chair and vice chair. One of the considerations, since we still have to do the gender equity study throughout every 5 years, was to permanently just maintain a CEDAW subcommittee working group so that they would be working in conjunction with the chief equity officer. So I think that was the only updates that I had. Anything else from the chair or vice chair to add?
So,
go ahead.
So yeah, at the work session for the city council, when it was supposed to be the time to give the testimony on it and do the persuasion bit on why this should be passed as an ordinance as opposed to kept as just a resolution. We had prepped 10 years worth of work that we've been doing. We had all the background, the history of UN conventions and charters, how it would be affected on a city level, all ready to go. And their one question was, why is it every 5 years and not every 1 year? And can we give more money to it?
Yeah.
Jason,
Yes.
could you quickly explain, Commissioner Wessel, could you quickly explain what CEDAW is for especially the member of the audience and our new addition, just so that they're aware of what it took to get to this point? Because I think it's very easy to assume that like every policy that we may help with will get passed, but it's not always the case. And I will also say that I was actually at the city council meeting where the CEDA was passed. But I was just so excited to have the city council on the west side that I did not even pick up on that, on the fact that the ordinance was passed. So it's very interesting. So Jason, could you give a quick update, not update, but just a quick overview of
Okay.
what it is, why it's important, and why we should support it?
Okay, so CEDAW is an acronym for the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. And it's one of the original platforms of the United Nations when they got together. It was adopted almost unanimously, like out of those early 40s as a guiding principle. But when you get into the way the UN was structured, they wanted to have things that were actionable, where you could implement laws and things like that, like voting rights and age restrictions on keeping child labor illegal. Those kinds of universal rights could be passed into law. So CEDAW got put on the back burner because it was more aspirational. So it got picked up again in the 60s and then pushed and adopted in the 70s. But the United States never signed it, became a signatory to it. So in the United States, the effort with the failure of the Equal Rights Amendment has had various attempts to pick it up on local levels. So in the 90s and the aughts, it's become the big push for CEDAW has been to be adopted by municipalities. So mainly it's big cities like Los Angeles, New York, then some random places like Honolulu and Tampa have adopted ordinances. Salt Lake City started back in, I think, they decided in 2010 to look into it and then really try to work towards adopting it in 2012. So they started with, I think, the equivalent of an exploratory committee. They did the necessary quantitative analysis. And in 2016, no, maybe it was somewhere, when was it?
Yeah, 2012 was the report.
So the report was in 2012, and then this Human Rights Commission with people way back when, I think maybe City Councilman Wharton was on it at the time, got the City Council at that time to adopt it as a resolution. And so to take it from resolution to ordinance required some more quantitative analysis, some more studies done, and a plan with how it would be implemented. And so we've had a bunch of false starts since then. I've been working on it for 6 years, and we would get to the first, we would be ready to have it on the agenda, and then something would happen where the city would pull it. Different mayor's offices had different priorities, different in-house politics, and it always getting relegated to the back burner. So finally, this last year, we realized that all that quantitative analysis, all that study data was going to become obsolete if we didn't get it through immediately. So this last big effort, this last big push managed to get it adopted with a friendly city council and friendly mayor's office unanimously. So that's where we are now. And the approach that we took, rather than having it be aspirational, was to make the chief equity officer a position that's existed at the city for several years now, to write that into city code as a position that must be filled, and to fund it and give the chief equity officer the authority to do a 5-year equity study, identify shortcomings, come up with plans to address the shortcomings, and do reevaluation every 5 years. So rather than doing anything punitive or saying that failure to comply would result in X, Y, or Z, we thought it would be better to empower an actual position in the mayor's office with the authority to supervise and oversee that, with the in conjunction with the Human Rights Commission in perpetuity. Was that concise enough?
Yes.
It was, and it's always an opportunity to just kind of relearn and understand the importance of what has just happened, even though it was very anticlimactic when it did finally pass. But all the work that has been put forth and all the people that have worked on it, I commend you all for not giving up and continuing it and making sure that it gets to this point. So thank you. We are going to, one of the other things that I think Moana may have touched upon this, but we are going to maintain the CDOC subcommittee, right? As a working group.
Yes, that's what my understanding.
And,
Yeah, that's-
go ahead,
So
Jason.
The reason for it is because the body that is supposed to consult with the equity officer is the Human Rights Commission. So rather than having them have to convene a new subcommittee every time that they had an issue they wanted to bring up, we thought it'd be better to have a working group that's already familiar with, you know, the organization and the process.
And anyone, especially for the new commissioners, is free to join that subcommittee, so then you can pick and choose what your priorities are of the Human Rights Commission. And
And
then you
we have 3 subcommittees right now, right?
yeah, we have 4.
4. Could you just list what those are?
And so there will be a ARPA funding short-term subcommittee, and 2 representatives from this commission will be joining a larger commission, and they will be determining where funds from the federal government goes into 2 of the departments here in Salt Lake City. And then we have a Refugees and New Americans subcommittee, the gentrification subcommittee that will still be working on, have some updates throughout, and then working on homelessness subcommittee. And since will be more new folks, it's whichever ones you would like that go align with your interests, you can hop on to those subcommittees. So they're self-selecting.
Perfect. And we are now going to turn the time over to the language access policy team to give us an update.
Hello,
Ms.
everyone.
Roxana?
Yes, Roxana Ariana, language access coordinator. So I don't think I met you guys in June. Did I? Did we meet in June? I did not give you an update then. So the council passed the joint resolution. I don't know if I shared that.
No.
Okay, so
I sent that document out, but you can
Okay.
share that.
Yeah, so that was a big win. I don't know where to look at, the camera. So yes, so that was passed, and that is basically a document, ceremonial document expressing the commitment to expand and promote language access to everyone in the city, to services and sort of programs that are available in the city. And basically what that means is if somebody comes into the city and they need a document in another language, we will be able to provide that to them in that language. So the same as if someone is an interpreter, that will be available. So that was just to start a resolution, just expressing the commitment to go forth. So I met with the,
Question,
yes,
does that include Braille?
does it include what?
Braille,
Braille?
yes.
It does not, but, oh no, it does, because it's under the, it will in terms of when somebody goes through the ADA needs, and then yes, it will.
Okay.
So we just need the request, so yeah, it should.
And we're all on the
Yeah.
same team, so those
Right,
are going
right.
back and forth.
So Ashley and I are in communication as to anything that comes up that people may need when they come into the city. So yes, it should include all of that, it just will fall under Ashley rather than me, but we work together, so all of that will be available upon request. And then the other thing is, I met with the citywide policy steering committee to go over this draft of the policy, of the language access policy, and we didn't finish. They had a lot of questions on that, so we will meet again on Thursday. They didn't meet in July, they meet every other month. So on Thursday, we will go over that policy again, and I know I got some input from a couple of commissioners that maybe
think
in
like
May.
April.
Yeah, April, May. So that was included on there. So yeah, we'll see what Thursday brings, and hopefully they have some good questions that we can go over and review and make the policy better. And that policy for the new commissioners is, will just kind of detail what it is that the services that we will be providing for our, what is called LEP, Limited English Proficiency, proficient residents, or non-English speakers, in a better, more friendly term. And then, so I will report back just on that and see what kind of questions they have and what happens after they review it, and if they need to further review it. And then another good thing that happened is each department has now assigned a liaison for the department. So this liaison will work with me, and they will receive training and everything and anything that has to do with language access. And they will be the contact person for their department, so they can work with me rather than me being, you know, everywhere at once. They will have the knowledge that I have, and then we will work together to address any problems or language information or questions, issues that come up. And then I also, another thing that I'm working on is building a webpage to put all this information out there for the public, so they know what it is that we're working on. And I think that's it for now. And also training, we're working on different models for training front-facing staff and people who are out in public, and if they get approached by anyone who needs language access. Yes.
What was the term that you used that is more inclusive?
So it is, there's several terms that you can use, and I should have said that before I actually said the word. So that is the federal, more procedural law word, limited English proficiency. And as you can tell, it's a word that is more used by the feds. So, but what I would suggest is people who speak a language other than English, or people who don't communicate in English, that sort of thing, or multilingual communities, multilingual speaker or bilingual speaker, that sort of thing. Just because that way, you know, it's a more inclusive term and it doesn't focus on the limitations and such. Any other questions?
I was going to make a recommendation. When you get to the phase where you're putting together the training program, you might want to consult with some of the people who put together the census push 2 years ago. I think it's 2 years ago, I don't remember, but they had the same issue where they developed a program for outreach for people who spoke languages other than English as their primary language. So they, rather than reinventing the wheel, you might want to consult them and find out what they put together, kind of in the same vein.
That's wonderful,
Do you
because,
remember, Moana, you remember the details?
Was
of
it
that?
Haley? Was it Haley that was here?
oh, you mean here,
No.
locally or statewide?
I don't remember. I think it was a nonprofit, but they coordinated with, I mean, there was a person at the county level, there was a person at the city level. Then there was the nonprofit that was doing all of the outreach, going out, knocking on doors, trying to get the census numbers accurate.
Yeah.
But I do remember, because I saw their presentation about 1 million times. I remember that they were making a big push on training on exactly that issue, so.
Haley will know. We can ask Haley.
Okay,
She's not in the mayor's office anymore, but Haley that moved over to the other
okay.
department.
Because one of the best practices is, so we build a program, right, but nobody knows about it, so we do need to kind of get out there and outreach and let people know in different ways that it's available. Yes.
How do you said website you were developing, so how, and this might be a question where Moana, you could jump in. How do you test to make sure the website is meeting accessibility guidelines to where someone with a screen reader can use them no matter what format they're using, whether it be a phone or a computer?
We are working in conjunction with Ashley Bickley. She's our ADA coordinator, so we all work as a team. And also she's working with Darby, which is our other special projects equity manager.
Yeah, and then on a larger scale, that's what Ashley will be doing for everyone's website, but at this moment, it will just be ours until they can implement it across the city.
Yeah.
And she's specifically doing those pieces as well, Everett, so.
So the only, I love Ashley, she's fabulous, but she's not a screen reader user.
Yeah,
So that's the one thing
Oh, that's
you've got to, make that into consideration. She also, wouldn't know for someone with a cognitive disability that might need, or even, low vision or even some other type of disability where they need to use maybe Puffin SIF devices, those types of testing that needs to get done, or at least verified that it will work. So that's just something that just to keep in mind, and I can,
yeah.
relay this to Ashley too, on how she plans to go about that. So.
I'm wondering too, are there organizations or people that are contracted in order to do those types of tests?
There are.
Yeah, I think that's where we can start too, is if we can work with Ashley and start to form some type of list. And then, in terms of equity, I think that it should be a contract of some sort for asking people to test things as well. So yeah, we'll talk with Ashley too. I wonder if that would be something that the ADA and HRC would be interested in working on in terms of viewing not just language access, but also the website so that it's accessible on multiple levels.
And I also know that, yeah, IMS, our information management system, IT department has, is something that they have been looking at to make sure we improve as we continue to revamp things, so. But I will make note of that for sure, because that's definitely an important component of accessibility.
It's starting to sound like Everett's talking himself into heading up a.
I know.
Yeah.
This is how subcommittees get formed.
Yeah.
Somebody has passionate about something and
Yep.
take the lead on the subject, and you'll probably get 2 or 3 more people to join you on it.
And just so to clarify on the Braille, yes, all those things are already available and through our ADA program. So for this one specifically, I know that is more on the realm of like ASL, but those contracts that we have, there is those resources available too. So if somebody comes in and requests something translated into Braille in a different, we would definitely look to meet that need.
That's good to know. There's, I know of 3 young men who are here as refugees, I believe from Iraq, and they are, we're working with them at the Division of Services for the Blind, but none of them speak English. So we have to, work with an interpretive service. They're all 3 completely blind, and they need English.
Yeah.
So they can, so that's been the hardest part, is getting them to where they can travel independently enough to get to the ESL program that will teach them English. And it's been a real challenge. So, so it's good to hear. And if I can, maybe put them in touch with you, that might be helpful if there's something that you can translate for them.
Yeah. That's great. And they are here in Salt Lake.
Oh, yeah, they're right downtown, near one of the track stops on the west side.
Yeah.
Our commission members, Shana Dumbia and Luna Benori, both work in refugee outreach capacities, they might be able to recommend some resources outside of the city as well, city government that might be able to assist. Shauna's still on the.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was frantically reaching for the mute button.
All right, no worries. I just thought that since you're kind of involved with our Refugees and New Americans subcommittee, you might be able to consult with Everett on that. Text message.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Salt Lake County's refugee services is a great resource because frankly, I think they know everybody, as does certainly Fatima.
Thank you.
Now I'm frantically trying to reach my unmute button. Shauna, always good to hear your voice and thank you for that feedback. I should probably also change my name from Poplar Grove Community Council to just Esther. Just so we're on the same track and it is being recorded for record's sake. Okay.
Mine is I always have to remember whether or not to have PhD attached to my name or not. Is this official or is this not official?
It's very official, Jason.
Roxana, thank you so much for that presentation and update. I know for myself, it's always great to hear what's happening and to also hear things moving along. We're gonna change things up a little bit and go into our item number 6, which is our discussion.
Oh, sorry, Chair Stoll, it's Fatima as well.
Oh, okay, sorry. And Fatima, who's gonna be talking to us about refugee and New Americans policy. Fatima, forgive me. Please, you have the floor.
Oh, you are good. You're good. Thank you so much, Commissioner. Hi, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. I have 2 quick updates for you guys. The Know Your Neighbor volunteer program. We have recently been.
Oh, Fatima, you're breaking in and out.
Sorry. Moana, can you mute the? It's echoey. Sorry, Moana.
You want me to mute us?
Yeah. Awesome. So can you guys hear me fine? Okay. So we have applied, or the county has applied for we grant the opportunity to collaborate with them on welcoming the Ukrainian and Afghan arrivals with integration. So that grant process is going in place to support the Know Your Neighbor volunteer program. And then the next update that I have, it's regarding Welcoming Week. We is on 7th through the 18th, either virtual communities.
Fatima, what was it?
Yes. September 9th, the 18th. And the idea behind this is to celebrate diversity and inclusion, to bring people together on furthering the welcoming spirit. We are here in the Valley to plan to host a welcoming proclamation or welcoming resolution, and then
Fatima, can you hear us? Did we lose Fatima?
How much the
so I mentioned this year's theme is Where We Belong, and the idea around that is to focus on a few specific area around service projects, lifting up diverse businesses, arts and culture, sports, different activities that sort of highlight the impact and contributions being made. I'll be sharing the specific dates and time and locations with you guys as the committee continues to meet and finalizes the.
Fatima, can you hear us? Okay, I'll ask her for a written update. Yeah, Esther said that too. We'll ask Fatima for a written update because I think I caught September 8th to the 9th to the 18th was the only thing that I got.
I know that there are great updates being given and we're missing a huge chunk of it. So definitely a written update would be awesome. And if Fatima wants, she is more than welcome to, come back and present.
Yeah, and we'll send that since we're in August and we can prep, and she'll have a flyer for us and things so that we can share it with community members
Okay,
about
that would be wonderful.
the welcoming week that's happening in September.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks, Fatima, if you can hear us. So sorry.
Oh.
Nope.
Let me just boot you.
Thank you, Fatima. We are going to, while we wait for a written update from Fatima, and hopefully you all be able to attend and participate. We are going to move on to item number 6 on our agenda, and we are going to be discussing the Human Rights Day celebration. I am going to hand this part over to Moana. I believe you're better at discussing the details more than I would. So, Moana, go ahead.
Perfect. Okay, perfect. So for everyone, if you can save the date, on Saturday, December 10th will be the annual Human Rights Day celebration. I believe it's been through 2 years since we've been able to celebrate in person, since COVID started. We are going to have it as a hybrid celebration in terms of streaming the programmatic piece of when we give awards. The Human Rights Day has been celebrated with the Human Rights Commission since it was formed about 20 years ago. And it always happens on December 10th when they passed the Universal Human Rights, just in commemoration of that. And also commemorating all the good work that comes out of this commission annually. And part of that celebration is we nominate 3 community, 2 individuals and 1 community organization. We'd like to stay away from the regular community organizations that always get recognized in a lot of these larger spaces, and really look at grassroots organizations. In the past, we've had leaders from the Muslim community be recognized. We also recognized one year the Salt Lake youth debate team one year, because a lot of the work that they were doing was addressing human rights and building bridges among youth. And so rather than go directly to some organizations, we want to see whatever is a grassroots organization. So with the hybrid celebration, what we'll have is we'll meet up in in one of the sites that could be a possible well, I'll just give an example. In 2018, when I was here previously, we met at Glendale Middle School. We organized that for the weekend on a Saturday evening. We had Glendale Middle School students participate and perform. Can everybody hear me still? Okay. And then they were in performance, and then we also had local vendors provide food. And then local community organizations tabled so that we could know what other folks were doing, and if anybody needed resources, they could also attend the celebration and get resources from those who were present. And so the other piece of this was that year, I believe, was the United Nations theme was Stand Up for Human Rights. And this year, which is strange, it's July and they still haven't posted what 2022's theme is, we can either choose to do a theme for Salt Lake City that is representative of the community. We had a couple of votes for last time, but if anybody else has any ideas, I was also leaning towards using we didn't celebrate last year. 2021's theme for the United Nations was equality. So all humans are all equal. That's what their theme was for 2021. If we'd like to continue with that, and if everyone's like, Juana, you just pick. I will also just do that so we can move forward with our process.
Quality just sounds so generically vague.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's what theirs was last year. We could also do something different. I am not opposed. But yeah, that's where we are with the theme, and we can pick something today. I really would just want to choose the theme today so that we can get the nomination online as soon as possible. I'm gonna share out what the form looks like right now, and I sent it to you through email, Everett. So you
Yeah.
should be able to have that with your screen reader, and then I'll share out here on the screen right now. This is what I have for the nomination process, and what, just really simple and basic, so that whoever wants to participate, which, again, a lot of the nominations in the past have just been the commissioners nominating the organizations that they work directly with that aren't often recognized. And then the mayor and a city council person, as well as the Human Rights Commission, can recognize them and know who they are. So
Let's clarify though, that it's 3 nominations,
yes,
a youth, an individual, and an organization. So we're trying for somebody who is approximately under 18, but if they are 18 or 19, that's okay too, but kind of, I don't remember.
we call them emerging leaders.
Yeah, emerging leaders, something like that, is how we use it, so that we didn't have to be under 18, but trying to stick as close to that as possible. And then, I think the individuals we've nominated in the past, like the Japanese judge, I can't remember his name now. Anyway, and organizations like I think we nominated, or we gave the award to the In Between ones.
Yep.
It's the organization that provides hospice care for people experiencing homelessness. So but it was a smaller operation at the time, so anyway, sorry for interrupting, I just wanted to
No worries.
make it clear, we're not just nominating organizations.
Yeah, so they'll be exactly what Jason said. So this is it's just a really quick form that we'll make available through our social media and then on our website. So then having the nominators will name their email so we can let them know. And then those 3 categories, selecting it as the youth, emerging leader, individual, group, or organization. And the biggest piece of that would be, please describe how the nominee embodies the theme and why you would like to honor them. And so whatever, in the past years, it was like stand up for human rights, this person or this group has done this, has been exemplary throughout this year. Another group I honored was the Emerald group, and they are Muslim women that are addressing like domestic violence and violence against women. So those types of groups that often aren't the go-to, that's what this type of award is. So very grassroots and close to the community. And that's basically the nomination form that we would share out. If there's anything that you see here, I will send this through email. You can send me through email, like, can you add this, or I would suggest this. I know all of you have been part of different organizations that have given out awards as well. So that would be, I'm open to modifying. And then,
Did you say the theme of this year?
We haven't come up with one.
Okay, because the universal one or the international one is life. Everyone has the right to life.
Oh, did they just post
did
that?
they post that?
We've been looking for it.
Or is that South That might
Well,
be.
it says, what is the theme for Human Rights Day 2022? So
Oh,
like everyone
they
has.
may
to
have
like-
just posted.
That's a good one.
Do you like that?
I like that one. My recommendation in our
Yeah, that was
leadership
not
meeting
me.
was taking our rights back, but this was shortly after the decision on Roe, so that might be a little bit cynical.
Well, that's what I was thinking too, and, yeah. Maybe we can choose a different route.
Yeah. So would you, any suggestions with a different route? We are an open book to any. I know that Everett, I wrote down the ones that it's on the other.
I just read through it, it was fine,
Yeah,
yeah.
I like the idea of life. I think we've all sort of experienced COVID for so long that in some ways it feels like it took away like our normalcy. So anything along that line would be great.
all right. Okay.
And it's just easier to say like, okay, it's the theme for the general human rights campaign that's going on.
In the theme,
I agree for continuity, it makes sense.
And just one concern that I have might be that the discussion around life right now is narrowly focused on the abortion.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's what I was
I
thinking.
don't know if we want to go to venture into that minefield.
Yeah.
Because we don't want it to deviate from what we're trying to do, so I totally see you.
Yeah, I just don't want us to sit there and say the Human Rights Commission is all about supporting life and have somebody else twist that into, see, they're pro-life.
Yeah, they're not choice, yeah.
Oh,
Because they will.
yeah.
Oh, I was just going to read last year's theme.
Sorry.
No.
I think that's why they keep it broad, all human life.
Equality, reducing inequalities, advancing human rights.
That we could
Wait,
still.
what are you reading?
It's just the theme for 2021.
On the UN page?
I am reading it, you know what, I just, Google what was the theme of the.
I think that advancing human rights is something that.
Yeah, that
is-
was. the-
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be the way to go.
Right, and then no one could argue with that one, right?
Yeah, like
It's
we're
just,
advancing. human
this is
rights.
what we do, we're just advancing human rights.
Yeah, and then whoever we're nominating for the groups too can be like a broad.
So the criteria is don't nominate anybody that's restricting human rights.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it. So if we.
So
yeah, okay.
I like that a lot too. I think it's just easier to find people that are in all different, facets of life that are promoting human rights, whether it's an employer, where there's an individual who, based on everything that's been happening, is taking a stance and creating something. Sounds good.
Yeah, and I'll attach the declaration, so if people are a little bit fuzzy what we're meaning by advancing human rights, it's like, here's the 30 things you can be in there.
Chair Stoll, do you think that requires a formal vote or we just?
Yeah, that's what I was
say that's the
wondering.
theme?
We should, well, are we agreeing on, is everyone agreeing on the advancing human rights? I say we take a vote, that way we don't have to circle back to this, and then Moana can just move on to the planning stages. Right? So could someone put forth the motion?
Can give us the theme again.
Advancing
Yes.
human rights.
We're just gonna leave it at that, or do we want the whole?
So the whole thing was equality, reducing inequalities, advancing human rights.
I said, let's just do advancing human rights. Because all the other items brings in too much politics and just disharmony. It shouldn't, but I just feel like it's gonna bring on a lot of politics, and I would love for us to just focus on what we do.
I'm
and the
sorry,
human rights.
can you repeat that whole phrase again, please? I'm sorry.
I think that what the chair is recommending is that we just shorten it to advancing human rights.
I understand
Oh.
what the chair's recommending. I'm not sure I agree.
She wants to
Okay.
hear the-
Could you reread what it's standing for?
Yes. Equality, reducing inequalities, advancing human rights.
Okay.
Did you want to speak to it?
No, I personally don't think it's, in the context of human rights, it doesn't feel controversial to me, but I will go with flow, as they say.
Anybody else have an opinion one way or the other?
So maybe the other parts doesn't necessarily ring in terms of politics, but I'm just thinking in terms of just keeping things simple. I feel like equality, reducing inequality, it's all encompassed in advancing human rights. So like repeating those other phrases is, to me, redundant when I think of advancing human rights. Because advancing human rights kind of gives it like an open, it makes it more open so that we're not caught into like this bubble of equality or reducing inequality. Like it gives more room for other like interpretation. That's where I'm coming from. Does anyone else feel differently? Commissioner Dumbia?
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, then make a motion that we adopt as the 2022 Human Rights Day theme, advancing human rights.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have,
I
do
think
we
that's
see names to make sure we have a,
Unanimous, you need unanimous.
Yeah.
what?
I was mixing up by acclamation with, and came up with a word that already existed.
We're, Jason was just trying to find the word for unanimous, so.
Okay, so
I did-
it's passed.
I did work out for more than an hour before coming here, so I'm kind of hitting that post-workout brain drain.
It's all good. Okay. So we'll go with that, advancing human rights. And I think it also fits in with the accomplishments for CEDAW, just seeing that come through. Okay.
And then the final thing would, let me just share this really quick. What the program, a draft would look like of the program of the evening. The location is to be determined. I just want to remind like Commissioner Bacon, also said that there's space there, that's available.
Yeah, we better get it quick because I know Christmas time.
Space
is-
where?
I think she was talking about the Division of Services for the Blind, and I do know that things fill up quickly for December, just because a lot of state agencies and others like to do their parties on Saturdays. So.
And that is just off of North Temple on the west side. It's right behind where you're like you're on North
Just
Temple.
off of Redwood Road in North Temple.
Yeah. So that is, if we would like to go with that, we would need to do that quickly. And then the other options were partnering with the middle school, again, similar to what we did before, and then neighborhood house, Esther has some connections, or the chair has some connections with neighborhood house that we could possibly have that space.
I think we did it at the Sorensen Center one year as well.
We can do that, that would be awesome too. I know that they have availabilities as of now, we just have to reach out to do the black box, which is a pretty good size
That's a great
space.
location.
All right, Do you want me just to,
Oh, I was gonna say, I just recommend that we reach out to a couple of different places and see availability, and then we can vote on one.
okay,
So,
and I'll just do that, I'll be in correspondence to your email then.
Can I just make a quick correction? I don't think the official theme is out. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
see it in the official website, so maybe that was kind of somebody wanting that to be the theme.
it's
So-
okay, the UN hasn't changed their decor since the 1970s.
Yeah. And then this would be somewhat of what we've done in the past. And so if you can see, I just put place time holders and things. But as I'm doing this through email, you're going to see something similar in nature to this. So the location would be to be determined, and then probably runtime would be around 6 to 8 p.m. That first half would be tabling and mingling and learning about other organizations that are doing work in the community that address human rights. And then we would either if it's in the same space or it depends on where we are, gather together to start the program, which would require, so I'm just sharing this now because I'm gonna start asking, we'll need an MC, which is usually a commissioner, so we can, it's all about highlighting the commissioners. I am in the background and making sure that this happens. So I'm not the MC, and we'll have someone who can be our MC, one of the HRC commissioners, to do the welcome audience, to welcome and then introduce the theme. Then always having a land acknowledgement and then a prayer or a poem we've had in the past in a different language or with one of the communities that is represented here on the commission. A city council member and the mayor usually welcome, are a part of that welcome. And then having musical or dance performance in between what we'll do.
We should ask the mayor how involved she wants to be, because some years the mayor wants to be very involved, and other years the mayor just wants to make an appearance.
This one, I talked with them, she'll be just in attendance, she wants to be like, she'll do that part, but she wants to see what the work that you all have done, so.
So I remember Jackie really wanted to be the one giving the awards out and stuff like that. So.
Oh, very.
I know.
Yeah, so I think her approach is more of just coming and see, she wants to be a member of the audience and see what you all have to do, so yeah.
Okay.
And I checked with them, so they're holding the date and they'll confirm that she'll be able to come and speak. And then we'll have a year-end review, hopefully some type of video montage. I will talk with SLC TV. The 1 year we did do that, it was super cool. And I was amazed, I felt like we had like an Oscar-worthy production. It really made it nice though, like when we had this whole montage. So I'm going to ask SLC TV to work with us, especially highlighting passing of the ordinance and also all the other things that the commission has been working on. And then recognizing all the HRC commissioners. We'll call you all to the stage while they have another pause with the musical performance, and then we'll give out the awards. And for this, we'll assign, after we figure out who will be getting the awards, we'll have each commissioner read out their bios and present it. I would really rather have the commissioners present the awards, since it is the Human Rights Commission that are giving out the awards, and also highlighting you all who have been doing free voluntary work. I want to say free, voluntarily coming to these meetings and giving of your time. So, and then finally, just having closing remarks and thank yous. I think that the outgoing chair would be Esther. So having you say a few things, and probably me and Coletta, and then the MC. And that's what I have. So I'll send these out with the minutes after this meeting. So if you have any direct feedback, you'll have it within writing.
I did recommend that maybe we reach out to some of the food trucks or as food vendors.
Yep.
Because December is definitely a slow time for them, so they might be, we get some Salt Lake City-based food trucks and work with them like they have at some of the other city festivals. That might be a good idea, but if somebody knows a specific food vendor that we might want to reach out to, we can do that as well.
And we worked with Spice Kitchen last time too for their approved vendors list. And it was good because it was halal and also, it was vegetarian, there's multiple options, so everyone could eat as well. But I'll look up the truck vendors and then I will share out that. And anybody else who has, connections, we are happy to take them. All right, I think that's all that I have, Chair.
Thank you all for your feedback. Mona, thank you for the update. This is exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I think this will be my first one attending. So I'm excited to see the video montage or photo montage, as you mentioned. But more importantly, I think I'm really excited to hear about the different individuals that will be nominated and to read their stories and their background and just see how they're contributing to a society. I think oftentimes we get into our bubbles and don't really realize what other people are doing around us. So this will be a great opportunity to see what the community is doing to, again, advance human rights, right? We are going to do a quick review of our goals and priorities. And this is just a quick review of the subcommittees. The newest one is the ARPA, right? Funding. Go ahead.
And I just put that in there just as a reminder that you two will be representing the Human Rights Commission. And that when you do start joining those, if the larger commission has any feedback for use of those funds, you all can rely on or ask them as well.
Okay.
Give you
That
like-
is something that, I don't know, Jason, have you gone in and submitted your application for it?
Yeah, I did as soon as I got the email. I was just saying that, we'll give advance warning that I'll probably just recommend giving money to everyone.
You'd be surprised.
Fill out the paperwork.
I know. So that's something that we're both looking forward to. And then we have the refugees and new Americans. We all had an opportunity to hear some of those updates from Oksana, and we will get the full detail from Fatima on the new Americans. I don't think there's Commissioner Wessel. Do you have any update on that particular subcommittee?
I believe the Refugees and New Americans was more going to be headed up by Commissioner Dumbia and the Nouri, and you and I were kind of providing support, but I don't want to put Commissioner Dumbia on the spot.
Commissioner Dubia is still on. We had a email discussion about this, but if you would like to share that, Commissioner Dubia, you can. at this moment.
I'll be honest, everything blends together at this point. I can't give an update.
I can give you the email that we talked about. The response you sent to me, Shauna, was focusing the last half of this year on reviewing policies and programs that assisted refugees and new Americans, specifically refugees.
Thank you for that reminder. Yeah, my comment was based on, I think I'd like to do it as quickly as possible, assess what's actually available, and to also assess, if it's available, how well those programs are working. Do we know how well? Do we know if they're working? If someone tells me yes we do or no we don't, my question is, how do we know they are? How do we know they're not? So really just an assessment, because you need to have that baseline information to understand where the gaps are, and then I would go from there doing a baseline, and I think it could be happening in conjunction from that understanding the baseline where we are in current state, and speaking to different members of the community and asking them their opinions. Where are the gaps? I think it's very easy. Us as commissioners, policymakers, other things, we have far better access and to the information, but I think that the boots on the ground folks and the end users, the people who are using it, are really, we need to ask.
So would you say that the programs need to be identified and then proper assessment could be done?
Identified assessment, and assessment really needs to be, I think for the assessment to be, I don't want to use the word valid, but to be, I would say at least more accurate, we need to have some feedback from the people who are being served, or in some cases not being served by the programs that we've got available. And understand, it's easy to throw out a laundry list of we need to do all of these things. There may be some of those programs available that just need a little zhuzh, for lack of a better way of putting it, some adjustments, and or in some cases revamp, or we're creating a program where none exists.
Commissioner, can I recommend then we schedule a subcommittee meeting where we can kind of start to brainstorm a game plan, come up with how we can go about achieving those goals, come up with an idea if we want to do a focus group, a survey of specific providers, that kind of stuff. Or I'm just suggesting that we do a issue specific subcommittee meeting so that we can get the ball rolling on that.
I think that's a fantastic suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah, and I really, this is a great, I do like this specific direction, because if we are gonna look at what currently exists, and then if we do start running focus groups, then the subcommittee will be pivotal. It also reminds me of 10 years ago, the foundational work that was done before CDOT was able to be passed into ordinance. So if we're looking at that, then I can put something on the books for a meeting.
That would be great. And that at some point too, Mon, if you would just make a note. I mean, we can kill ourselves with minutia, so to speak, but of course we have people in the refugee and New American groups communities that fall into other groups as well, whether they be people who perhaps have a disability or something of that nature, who are not being served as well, because maybe there are fantastic programs for folks who are born and raised, so to speak, but not as accessible as they could be for our newer residents.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Dumbia. Moana, it looks like you have the next item. Oh, we have gentrification. I know that they recently had a, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say, I think they're going to be submitting the report soon. I saw that it wasn't available to the public yet, but it should be available to you all. Once I get that link, I can share with you. But Chair Stoll, you've been attending the meeting, so.
Yeah, it's been a while that they've really presented anything. I think the last one, again, was just kind of going through their findings. They have had a lot of good feedback, and their website is still a good source to review what they're doing and what they're coming up with. The part that was really interesting to me was just finding out the different neighborhoods within my neighborhood. That was very interesting. And because there's a lot of new build on the west side, we're creating brand new neighborhoods, just within a walk from an already established one. So it's interesting to see how things are shifting. And the study itself, I think, will be very eye-opening. I don't know how much it's going to help because it's not like it's going to stop. But I think understanding it and knowing how to move and also assist those that are being affected will be very instrumental. But
I have go ahead.
like Moana said, once they release it to the public, I think it'll be great for everyone to look through it and just see how it's affecting their communities and also the future.
Yeah, and I think similarly to what the Refugees and New Americans Subcommittee is doing is after they've done, now that you have an assessment piece, looking at what actionable recommendations that the Human Rights Commission can give in terms of gentrification, I think that will be something that subcommittee can move towards after they release it to the public. That's just a suggestion.
If you've seen it, can you give us a heads up? Is it bad or really bad?
It's informative.
It's important, and other parts, I think you as a West Side resident aren't going to be surprised. Yeah, that's where my initial look at it was for West Side, long-term West Side residents and understand the history of the city. So then I was like, okay. The waves of what, yeah, you, especially Jason and Esther who live on the West Side.
I just got my property tax notice.
I
They're
did too.
claiming that my home value went up $85,000 in value in 1 year. And I'm like, no, it didn't.
Yeah, and I think those types of things that we're seeing on the ground, yeah. You probably won't be surprised, but then you'll be like, okay, now it's an assessment study shows that it's doing what I think it was doing. So, yeah.
Okay, so bottom line, Moana will share the study with us when it's finally released to the public. I know Jason, Commissioner Wessel has a little bit of an update for the homelessness committee. I know you're keeping better. You're sticking with it more than I am. So do you mind giving a quick update on what you have on that, Jason?
Sure. I believe it was in May, we met with Andrew Johnson, where, if you remember, to the new commissioners, we've been trying to kind of pry information out on what the city's approach to people experiencing homelessness is, and we are just kind of not getting blown off, but kind of getting like one paragraph statements that were out of date. So we basically managed to finagle a meeting with Andrew and to just get the questions we wanted answered were, what's the long-term goals, what's the midterm goals, what's the short-term goals. We identified the problems, how are we going about trying to address them, and he, I think, impressed both of us, if I can speak for Chair Stoll, with his grasp of what the situation was, but everything came down to lack of resources and lack of funding. That you can only do so much with what we have. So it just seemed not hopeless, but it seemed like that there's lots of things we could do if we had the resources to do them, but we don't. So instead, this is what we're doing. And then he put us in touch with, I believe it's the Salt Lake County Commission to End Homelessness. Cumbersome acronym, but anyway, I did a virtual meeting with them where they gave us a rundown on their structure and organization, and got flowcharts and all kinds of different working groups and subcommittees. I think there's over 500 members that are actively involved with it. So I signed up to be on one of the working groups for, I believe, rights and law. The first meeting that I'm going to participate in, I believe, is about a week and a half. So I don't really have any information on what they do yet. Just I've kind of seen that they are very organized and very targeted. So I'm going to try to get involved there, and I'll report back afterwards. But the big thing is that essentially by the meeting with Andrew, from the outside looking in, it seems like the city is putting out fires and not trying to get ahead of the thing, and that's not really the case. It's just that that's what we see, that what they're trying to do and what they have the resources to do are two different things. So I guess that's kind of the report I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Wessel. And Moana, I think I'm going to turn this over to you to introduce Michelle.
All right, so we wanted to introduce Michelle. So she.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, I know it is hard.
So I just wanted to make note in this commission meeting, I've already talked with the chair and vice chair, but at the end of the year, I will be exiting this position and Michelle will actually be taking over my position as the equity manager. So you have until, we're working for the next few months, and Michelle will be attending all of these meetings so that there will be a seamless transition. Right now, she's currently working on multiple projects, but then I'm helping train her in this specific capacity since this administration really thinks it's important that our outfacing commissions that have to do with equity need to have a person on the ground consistently. So I am still going to be in Salt Lake City. I'm glad that District 1 and District 2 are taken, so. But I will support the Human Rights Commission in any way possible. The Racial Equity and Policing Commission might reel me in, but I am not saying my goodbyes. I just wanted to let you know that that's the reason why Michelle will be attending all of our meetings. Can you introduce just a little bit about yourself, Michelle, so that I can know your awesome background and where you're from?
Yes, so hi everyone, my name is Michelle Mooney and I've been in Utah for the last year, since August of last year. I'm born and raised in the state of Hawaii and I went to school in Florida at the University of Tampa. I have a double bachelor's in psychology and applied sociology with a master's in professional communication. And I have an extensive background in diversity, equity, and inclusion, which includes being an intern for 5 years with the National Diversity Council, where I worked very hands-on with them, and I became a certified diversity professional through them as well. So I am excited to work with you all, although Moana's leaving, but I'm excited to work together for the next couple of months.
I just want to thank the commission. I'm not leaving, but thank the commission for allowing me back for this short amount of time. I think that we were able to get a lot done within this last year and making sure there's a couple of goals that I had that need to be completed before December, and for all of you for assisting in those, not just for me, but for Salt Lake City and representing them. And that, this is not goodbye, so we still have a lot of planning to do for the, I'm thinking about the Human Rights Day. We can say our goodbyes then, but I think that the work that we've already done in the last few months, especially on a larger scale with Coletta and the entire DEI team here in Salt Lake City, even just 5 years ago when I started, or oh my goodness, 6 years ago, 7 years ago when I was here in the city, there were so many goals and things that were aspirational and now have already happened. So thank you all. From a voluntary, community-based perspective, couldn't have been holding it down through multiple administrations as well as multiple staff. Thanks, Chair.
Moana, thank you, definitely. I know we're not saying goodbyes now, but I will still be stalking you.
We're neighbors.
But I've definitely appreciated all that you've done to really organize our team and get us focused and really get us moving along the way that we've needed. So thank you. Michelle, welcome officially. We all, I know I won't speak for everyone else, but I know I look forward to working with you and just having your talent really used on this commission to continue to move us towards where the Human Rights Commission needs to be for Salt Lake City and also for the entire Utah. Does anyone else want to add anything to those updates that has just been given? The shock, but also the update.
I think we should mention the international market at the fairgrounds. I believe that's coming up this next weekend. It's monthly. They're doing a trial program where they're doing it once a month. I think the next one is this weekend, but don't hold me to that. It'd be a good thing to attend if you have time.
Is that, what was the international market
Yeah.
at the
Yes.
fairgrounds?
Yes.
If I find information, then I'll send it in the follow-up email.
Remind me, I have a contact for that would be able to give you direct information.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll send that.
Okay, we are gonna turn our next 5 to 10 minutes over to just discussing, having a discussion about human rights around the world. I know a lot of things are going on, many of which have sort of died down in the media, but they're still happening. So would like to open up the floor right now to bring those to light, have a discussion here, and just know that our minds are focused on not just what's happening within our city, but also what's happening around the world.
For the new commissioners, this is a chance to kind of vent about something that might be bothering you specifically that you're not sure everybody is aware of. Unless you're closely following human rights around the world. Like, for example, Myanmar just executed several political dissidents on ridiculous terrorist charges. They were like politicians and stuff like that. I think 4 of them were executed, all in opposition to the military junta. I am also really upset that the president decided to travel to Israel and Saudi Arabia, 2 of the world's biggest violators of human rights in the modern era.
And called himself a Zionist while he was there.
Yes. While we announced plans to build an embassy in Jerusalem. In context, our former embassy was in Tel Aviv because Jerusalem is disputed territory that was taken in war in 1967. Under international law, you can't acquire territory through conflict. So the Trump administration decided to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. So us moving our embassy there is basically saying we acknowledge that they were allowed to take East Jerusalem, and coming up East Jerusalem from the Palestinians. I don't need to be lecturing. My PhD is in Middle East history. So if you already know that, I'm sorry for reiterating it.
Yeah, my undergrad was in Middle East history as well. I think we've talked about it before, but I mean, Israel, and I can't even call it a conflict. The Israeli occupation is just, it's been ongoing for decades, clearly. Unfortunately, as such, people tend to become numb or immune to it just because it's been going on for so long.
Does anybody have anything else?
There have been ongoing disputes that have been going on for the last few years. They kind of flare up and go down with some human rights violations in northern Mali, in West Africa, and the Tuareg people in particular, unfortunately, because most of the world and certainly the entire continent of Africa was divided by people who are from other places. The Tuareg, some of you may already know, are people that basically are treated as second-class citizens regardless of the country they live in. They don't really have a country, so to speak, to call their own, and there are continued human rights violations against the Tuareg people in northern Mali.
Bring it back locally, in the Tribune today, there was an article about, by Robert Gerke about our Attorney General Reyes is signing on to a lawsuit to say that the federal government's order that LGBT youth be not discriminated against in the school lunch program is federal government overreach. So the state of Utah is arguing legally, the state of Utah has the right to decide whether or not they can discriminate against LGBT youth. So yeah, that kind of is a bit annoying, is another statement.
What implications would that have?
I think I'm not a lawyer, but my understanding is they're looking at it as it's a try to attempt to do an end run around Utah's anti-trans girls in sports laws by taking the Title IX angle. So they're trying to head it off by getting the courts to say that the federal government having any say in how you deal with through the Department of Education is federal overreach. It's just the hill they've chosen to fight on is whether or not the state has a right to discriminate against LGBT youth in school lunch programs.
So the most vulnerable population.
But that's the principle basically is taking into account Title IX, whether or not it extends to the, I would say read Gerke's opinion piece in today's Tribune if you want more details on it, because it's an opinion piece, so he's not going into the journalistic facts as much, but it was definitely one of those where you're like, oh, do we have to be on the wrong side of everything in this state? In my opinion.
Thank you all for sharing. Does anyone have anything else to add to this portion? Okay. Well, thank you all for, first of all, dedicating your time to this commission and for being here today. I know we had a short break this past month, but it's also great to hear your voices and to see you all. And we hope that as we prepare for the Human Rights Day, that we'll be able to come together and put together a great celebration, not just for this year, but to also acknowledge all that has happened around the world and in this past few years. And for those of you that have shared some things that are happening around the world as far as human rights are concerned, if there's ever a chance where you feel that this commission could either write a letter of support or just acknowledge things in a way that's just beyond our discussion, please feel free to present that. We are going to, Moana, was there anything else?
Nope, that was all.
Okay, I am going to ask for a motion to close our meeting for today. Could we have our newest member do that?
Oh, well, Commissioner Bacon.
Oh, I'll yield.
Oh.
Motion to dismiss.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Commissioners, thank you so much for your time. And for those that had a chance to present. And also, Maria, I see you on there. I know you didn't have much to say today, but thank you for being here. Moana, thank you always for your organization and making sure that we're doing our part to serve our communities. And for Commissioner Olivia, thank you so much for being here. And I hope that this meeting was worthwhile. And Commissioner Bacon, I hope that it's always worthwhile to be here and share your thoughts as well. Commissioner Dumbia, have a great evening. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.
You know,